Think of a non-negotiable in your life. Think of something you have prioritized consistently. You've put it ahead of other things for ideally years, very long time. And now examine whether or not that thing is a positive or a negative, right? Is it, and I think with many things, look, there's going to be a trade-off, and that's kind of the point. That's where we're going with this. Maybe your thing is gaming. I used to play video games, and I still enjoy video games, but I hardly ever play them anymore. I'm really selective with my time and protective of my time, but video games, okay. Is it healthy physically? No, but there could be a level of community there. There's also problem solving. There's also dopamine because you're doing something, like maybe work stresses you out and you go home and you release playing a video game, and like I can totally see and justify that balance there. All right, now let's look at something else, right? Let's look at physical, exercise, strength training. For almost 17 years, I have consistently worked out in the gym. There was a long stretch of that where I was training 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, and people would be like, how many days a week do you train? And I'm like, every day. And that's my point with it, where I took it to a level where I was training more for the psychological aspect of it, needing to have control over something, needing to have that psychological outlet. This is, going back to my early 20s, I was working like 3 jobs, living in Boston, trying to support myself, and I was training hard because it's like I need to find balance where I'm able to, and I need to have control over something. Now, fast forward to now, I still train, and I still train very intense, but my focus is not, like for a long time, my focus was bodybuilding with the intention to compete, and then eventually it was contest prep with the intention to step on stage, and then I did. But let me bring us back, okay? That was something, and even to this day remains something that I have prioritized over a lot of other things in life. And I would not say that's a negative by any means. That's something that I love about myself. That's something that has taught me over the years, the physical training and pushing myself to be in better shape and, create a certain type of physique. That taught me a tremendous amount about myself. I feel like I'm in a place now where it's not, look, I heard Alex Hormozy say this, and I thought it was funny, where you talk about active income versus passive income, and somebody was talking about how he doesn't train nearly as much as he used to and such, and he still has a great physique, and he made a comment and he goes, oh, I have a passive physique. And I think that's that's actually where I am too, where I'm very proud of the physique I have, and it's still important to me, but it is so far on the back burner. And because it is something that has held so much space as a priority for me for over a decade and a half, where I am now is trying to utilize that same, like there's a way that I view training, and I am trying to, allot that time for other things that need more focus and more attention, so that they can become priorities and they can become strengths over time, where again, like my physical training, that's a strength. And I'm not just talking about being in the gym moving the weight, but the level of importance in my life, and in my, honestly, this comes down to values. My value system, physical exercise is tremendously important. But right now, if I'm to train maybe 3 days a week consciously and use that time and use that focus to push something else into that slot, that's the experiment for me right now, or rather that's the goal. And I am trying to develop these systems in my life, and I'm listening to a lot of qualified, successful people. I do listen to Alex Hormozi, I listen to Layla Hormozi, but I also, lately I've listened to Izzy Seeley, Dr. Izzy Seeley a lot lately, and her channel is actually incredibly informative and also just delightful. She's just delightful. So I am trying to incorporate systems into my life and be more structured with everything, really, with my sleep and with my nutrition and with how I structure my weeks, not just my days, but my weeks, to allow for the exercise that I want to be doing and I need to be getting, but also making time for my creative endeavors, such as my illustrations and my writing and even making videos. And the interesting Venn diagram of where the creative endeavors also tie into future potential business moves, again, like this channel, and my writing and my illustrations. Ultimately, if I continue moving ahead as I have moved for the last handful of years, actually more than that, decade, we'll say, where the physical training has such a firm, immovable grasp on my schedule and on my life, that doesn't set me up for that great. That helps me maybe look a certain way, but I really don't think it's offering that much more benefit than if I were to cut back to 3 days a week. And by doing so, I am now able to make all of these conscious changes in my life, doing these things that are going to help me develop as a person and also shape everything around me, creating the life that I'm really trying to find and trying to live. So this video is more about us finding a greater awareness of where we allot a lot of our time, and we don't even think, we don't second guess it, we don't question it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to the gym, and then maybe I'm there for 45 minutes, maybe I'm there for 2 hours and 45 minutes if I start talking to somebody. And that's a benefit too, because that social element is actually very important to me. I may train and then have a great conversation with somebody. That's very important to me, but I need to be conscious of that. And if that is the case, maybe the next day you skip the gym because you spent way too much time there, and it was a positive and it was beautiful. It wasn't a waste, but it was time spent, and that's time that you're not recording a video, that's time that you're not editing or uploading a video, that's time that you're not illustrating or writing or cooking. So if our goal is to become more intentional with the time that we have and protective of the time that we have, we need to be honest with ourselves about some of the things that are absorbing the majority of that time. And then we need to, again, go back to values, go back to priorities, go back to goals in the present, and just be honest with ourselves and make the necessary changes.